Hi, I'm the Paleo Puppet. You can find more information at paleomagazine.net. That is paleomagazine.net. So let's get started. In the next 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to answer the question, does grilling meat increase risk of cancer? Is grilling healthy? Then I'm going to give you a few tips which will make it much healthier than it could be. Okay, so big question is, does grilling meat cause cancer? That's the main risk that gets discussed in the medical literature, on the web, and everywhere else. And the reason it gets discussed is this. When you grill meat, two main compounds are formed. These are heterocyclic amines, also sometimes referred to as HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, also known as polyaromatic hydrocarbons or polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons. Wow, that's hard. There are loads of studies out there. These studies have been done on lab animals, and those tests show that when you give those lab animals PAHs and HCAs, those lab animals do develop cancer at a higher rate. In other words, it increases their risk of getting cancer. So the answer to this question, is grilling healthy, is not a definitive yes or no, but it is something that we need to stop and think about. So I have 3 huge tips on how we can make grilling healthier. Tip number 1, marinate your meat. It keeps your meat moist and tender. It makes it much more scrumptious. But from a health perspective, it also does other things. In particular, there was one study that showed when you marinate meat for even just an hour, as long as the marinade has some sort of acidic base, like lemon juice or vinegar, it can decrease the amount of an advanced glycation end product that's formed when we grill our meat by up to 90%. So marinate your meat for at least 1 or 2 hours before you cook it. Tip number 2, keep your meat away from the fire as much as possible. Now, how would you do that? Well, there are a lot of interesting ways that you can do it. First, you can cook on top of a cedar plank. Cooking on top of a cedar plank adds more flavor to your food from the cedar, but it also keeps your meat from touching the fire. It stops much of the smoke from getting into your meats, and those are how carcinogens are formed in your meat. You can also cook on metal, main grades that will help you with that. You can cook in a pot or a pan. This is over the grill or over the fire. Or you can even cook in aluminum foil. Any of those will keep your meat away from the fire, keep it away from the smoke, and decrease the number of carcinogens that are formed. Tip number 3. Don't overcook your meat. Not only does it remove some of the flavor, tenderness, and overall scrumptious, it also increases the number of carcinogens that are formed. This is mostly because you're leaving it on the grill longer. You're exposing it to more fire and more smoke. So cooking your meat at medium rare or medium or something around there is the easiest and simplest way to make sure you decrease the amount of hydrocarbons that can form in the meat. In this video, we learned my 3 tips for grilling your meat. So I urge you to please follow these tips next time you decide to grill. If you're considering grilling more, you need to watch out for adding an excessive number of steps in the process of cooking your meat. If you add too many precautions, you may in the long term end up doing none of the precautions at all. These tips I mentioned are things you can implement almost immediately and quickly. I hope you enjoyed this video on grilling for the paleo diet. To learn more in depth about the paleo lifestyle, go to paleomagazine.net. There's a magazine on this, and you can get it at paleomagazine.net. Click the link in the description and go download that magazine. And I'll see you in the next video.